Welcome to the LBS Alumni Panel. My name is Amber Haq and I am the Senior Manager for Recruitment and Admissions for the Executive MBA in Dubai. Today we'll be discussing a topic that we get a lot of questions about from our candidates, namely how to manage both work and school as a student on the Executive MBA program. The program is a 20-month program and it's a rigorous one, which means that exactly all of our students are also employed full-time while on the program as a part-time student. Today, I'm joined by two alumni, Russell Hamad from the Executive MBA class of 2017 and Sana Kaleem from the Executive MBA class of 2015 to provide some insights on how to manage work-life balance as an Executive MBA Dubai student. I'd like to welcome both panelists today. I will be asking them to introduce themselves. And before I do that, one item of housekeeping, the question and answer function. If you look at the bottom of your screen, there's a question and answer button. The question and answer session will be open throughout the webinar. You are welcome to submit your questions for our panelists. All you need to do is click on that button and enter your question and I will see it. And we will try and get to most of the questions that will be presented to us today. Without further ado, I'd like to invite our panelists to introduce themselves. Sana, I would like to start with you, please.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you guys here. And I'm sure this is going to be a really exciting way forward from here for you guys with LBS. I graduated 2017. I think we swapped me and Russell. So I graduated 2017. I am a retail specialist. I have over 17 years of experience of building and scaling B2C and B2B businesses in MENA and Pakistan area. I spent the last 10 years of my career working with startups in the broader ICT sector. Currently, I run a retail investment platform called Serendi Ventures, and we are investing in the personal care, beauty, and education sector in the GCC and Pakistan. What I do most of the time now is that we have set up an organic cosmetics chain, and that's what I'm looking at currently. I'm an engineer by training, and I think I'm happy to have the session here today. And thank you, Amber, for having us. And I hope we can answer whatever questions and concerns anyone on the EMBA journey has.
Excellent, thank you. Sana, could you, before I pass it on to Russell, could you please tell me, what were you doing when you were a student on the program?
Oh, interesting, because when I started the EMBA, I had just founded a telecom services business, and we were servicing operators in UAE and KSA. So I think it had been a year, so I was really taking up a lot by, it wasn't a startup, it was more of a services company, but nevertheless, I had just started, I founded it with a partner. And I think in a year, I was ready to start the EMBA program, so yeah.
Okay, excellent. And what was your level of involvement? Can you give the audience an idea of your level of responsibility while you were juggling?
Yeah, so I basically looked after both strategy and business planning and operations. So I was helping basically set up the business. I helped scale it. I look at all client relationships as well. So because I was essentially responsible for the P&L as well. So I used to report into my CEO, and that was my level of, I think we grew in a year, we grew to 60 people.
Okay, so very quickly, actually.
Yeah, very quickly.
Fast.
Yeah.
Okay, great, excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Sana.
No problem.
Russell, I apologize. Yes, I accidentally switched your dates of graduation. Russell, could you please introduce yourself? What are you doing at this time?
Yes, thank you, Amber. Hi, everyone. Hope all is well and living safely in this COVID-19 era we live in. I just wanted to just give a quick background on me. My heritage is Lebanese. I've been living in Australia for 40 odd years. I've been in Dubai for the last decade. So I've come to Dubai in 07, 08 and kicked off a home and security based company, if you like, from scratch pretty much, having other businesses I've done in Australia and continue to do. And I really fermented something, if you like, in an industry that I didn't have much knowledge of or insight of. And that was just prior to the financial crisis. So frankly, it's not too dissimilar to what we're going through now, you know, this COVID-19 sort of calamity that we're all experiencing. I somewhat experienced that when I first started in Dubai in 07, 08, yeah, when the financial crisis came in, the whole world was supposed to have stopped. And I go, oh, gee, because guess what? Like 10 years prior to that, I had the same saga happen with the 9/11. I was doing some work in Philadelphia in Australia, and I had that happen to me then. And it was really crazy. I thought history is repeating itself, right? However, it comes back to who you are as a person, how you deal and handle such realities, right? So what I did, I just stayed focused on what I do and what I do best. And I kept on keeping a very positive outlook on all, having embedded the right, if you like, you know, it's like, you know, you sort of, what you seed is what you harvest, you know? So if you've done the right thing and you sort of plan and you work in the right sort of terrain, sometimes even if a tsunami comes, you sort of survive it because you've got the right roots in place, if that makes sense, right? So in fact, not only did I do well, I signed a huge contract at the time, but I also made $2 million more because the currency exchange would work in my favor, et cetera, et cetera. So what I'm trying to say is, even with that initiation in Dubai, I was still keen and excited to get engaged with a London Business School program, which, like Amber did kick off by saying, is quite a concerted program. If you know, don't be faint-hearted about the reality, you're going to be committed. So if you think it's going to be a great playground to go and just share some time with someone and or put some, you know, another sort of accolade on your CV, forget it. What an LBS is about a serious commitment. If you're a committed person and you're serious about your future and your, you know, what your future endeavors are going to be. So I couldn't speak highly enough about how that empowered me. Although I'm the CEO of my company, I got 35 at the time, 35 employees, very active, extremely busy, making a lot of money, frankly. And the last thing I want to do is at LBS. You know, the last thing I want to do is commit myself to crazy hours, working like mad, and trying to go through some, you know, sort of, you know, nightmarish sort of a thing. It was such an exciting journey, you know, because I was so enlightened by the student body I've met, all my beautiful friends of my class, the faculty, absolutely. And it's really a different spirit you're moving on to. You're moving to a different elated platform. So in fact, let me say the following. The best time to be looking seriously at an EMBA, whether it's with LBS or others, but obviously LBS for obvious reasons, is now. Why? Because now the world is so uncertain. And the most precious time we all have is time. The most precious thing we all value is time. However, all our time is being somewhat derailed at the moment. Some, respecting not all, I'm not suggesting any of you, but some in industries are getting half salaries because there's not much to do and or being let out or whatever, or changing jobs. As like, if you've had your heart on doing an EMBA, in my view, it's the best time to do so now because it's just the best lull time, you know, the calm before the storm, so to speak. And this is a great sort of scenario to be involved, especially if a lot of it will be on, you know, remote learning, etc. And, you know, you're going to be stuck home for most of the time anyway, or working from home, whatever, for the next 3 to 4, 6 months, depending where you are in the world. So yeah, look, I have had an interesting experience in Dubai per se, doing a lot of business in region, GCC, etc. I'm now doing a number of other things, but certainly without the LBS, I believe I would have had a lot of gaps in my strategy and in my level of strategic and structural thinking. I think the EMBA has certainly validated and sort of paid to a number of those things for me over the years.
Excellent, thank you. So in Dubai for the Executive MBA program, as you both know, you've both been through this, we have the block week format, which is basically 4 to 5 days per month where you have to attend class. Russell, I'd like to know, when you were joining us for class, when you were in class and you had to step away from your work, from your responsibilities at the office, how did you plan that handover? Did you speak to how did you plan for the days that you were not in the office? How did you delegate those responsibilities. Can you give us an idea of how that worked for you while you were not in the office, please?
Sure. Look, at the time, I had a great PA, and I continue to. I always believe in having a good right hand and good support, especially when you're going through such a situation where you need to really divorce yourself from your day-to-day. So I had a great PA that was supporting me in just making sure I'm in sync with a lot of things. Obviously, I had a good management team, and that's good. However, as a CEO, there's always, the buck always stops with you. There's always a lot of serious things you need to address, you need to sort of attend to, irrespective where you are. Even when I'm on holidays at the moment, I still do that. And frankly, we aren't living on the 18th century. We're living in the 20th century, and we're fully connected, impressively, via WhatsApps and via your web. So as a result of that, I'm sort of known to have my iPad with me all the time. So my iPad is my office pretty much. And I was really, irrespective of it was Australia, it was the UK, it was here, I was connecting irrespective. Even in class, listening to the lecturer and there's something that's really urgent, I would attend to it. This multitasking, frankly, is my forte, but also it's one that's everybody's forte these days. We all live, like as we speak now, I'm sure somebody's answering their WhatsApps, right? It's just the way of the world, right? So it's not so impossible. However, I think time management is critical. Resourcefulness is critical. You've got to be resourceful. I think the big takeaway again from a lot of the business school course that I did was how to sort of try to manage that, where do I go look for this if I don't really know it? I did a course called DAM, I think it was called. We always call it DAM because data analysis management or something. It was statistics. I got no clue about
analytics.
Yeah, right. And I went through a challenging time trying to understand this. I actually jumped on Google, YouTube, everything, and actually really learned pretty much online a number of things I had to reinforce what the lecturer was trying to communicate that I was probably missing. Point being is that you manage your time. You manage your time by actually being very, very focused, very, I think, resourceful, what I was saying, but also I think being very committed. You could easily sort of drop the ball, if that makes sense, right? Oh, gee, I've got an assignment coming up. Oh, gee, my boss says this. Oh, gee, that's all fine. Or my spouse or my, says this or the other, the kids, whatever. And everybody's different sort of personal lives. So one needs to recognize that now this is something I'm taking on. It's not forever. It's a focus, that I need to commit to. I need to be serious for myself, not for others. I need to really believe in it, and it's going to drive me. It's my branding that's going to be amplified as a result of this.
Okay, thank you. Sana, I have the same question for you. You had actually founded a telecom company, and you just finished telling us a little while ago that it scaled quite quickly. How did you plan, for in that situation, specifically what Russell has just mentioned? We have the tech tools, WhatsApp, and everything to stay connected, but sometimes it can be overwhelming. How did you manage the days when you were not in the office, given that you were scaling up so quickly? How did you manage that?
So, Amber, I think Russell put it very well that yes, of course, time management is a key thing that you cannot. But I personally, from my own experience, I think it's all about planning. Even when we work or whatever we do, we're quite used to putting off things and saying, oh, I'll do it. I think during the EMBA, the one thing that really helped was that I used to plan, everything was a plan for me, because when I had to be off those 4 days, I also understood that because I also wanted to enjoy that experience, right? I did not want to be constantly torn in between, oh, I'm not here, I'm not there. So a lot of planning, I used to plan ahead of time. So if, for example, if it was payroll time, right? And I knew that, for example, classes are not going to be because it's the first of the month or whatever, end of the month, we can't have classes. I would ensure that I would know that, okay, if I have to run the payroll, if I have to authorize some payments, etc., I would plan ahead so that things were done even if I wasn't there. And to be honest, as a cell-phone business, I think that was one of the most important things, that eventually your business should not be should not just fall apart if you're not around, right? Your business, your processes, your planning should be so strong that they are able, yes, of course, like Russell said, if you're the CEO, the buck stops at you. And it used to be the case, but then you're just basically problem solving. You're not like completely, you know, getting involved in it from scratch, and there are people you have trained who are there as your and again, because I mean, if I was to go back to a corporate role, and you know, for people who are joining in as from part of a corporate setup and stuff, I think it's the same thing. I had a lot of two of my closest friends during the program who used to work. One was working for Microsoft, and one worked for another company. I think the key thing was planning. So ensuring that your boss, your teammates, everyone understood. And I think this is also all about dialogue, right? So before you take on the journey, I think involve your stakeholders, whether it's your family or it's your, you know, your boss, your colleagues, whoever. If they're part of your conversation, then they will also understand that, okay, you know, these 3 or 4 days she's or he's not available. And unless it's really important, they will try and, you know, work around it such that you're not, you know, bothered or whatever. But having said that, I still feel that, you know, during the program, there will be times when you're in the middle. You're not always 100% everywhere. So you also have to kind of agree or be okay with that as well. So, you know, there will be times when you're not 100% at work, or you're not at 100% at, but I think that's all part of the journey, because you learn so much that I personally feel that there were times when I was not doing exactly what I should have been doing as at work or at home, or as maybe not giving them enough time. But I mean, you cannot be 100% everywhere. So you have to make those choices as and how they come. But it's okay. As long as you're learning and growing and making the most of the journey, it's okay. So like, you know, like this friend of mine who was working, she used to say that, you know, it wasn't really about ensuring that I get the best grade. It was always about ensuring I learned the most.
Which brings me to my next question. So when we speak to candidates, one of the questions we do get is how much study, how much study is involved in the program, how many hours of study should I allocate to prepare for the assignments and everything that's coming at us during the program. In terms of your study schedule, and Sana, maybe we can pick up with you. How did you, you know, it's 15 to 20 hours a week that is required. How did you structure your study? So you're working during the day. How did you structure your studying?
So I have to tell you that Fridays and Saturdays in the mornings, like even in the our groups, all of us, because everyone was working. So we structured it such that, you know, we'd get up early out on Friday mornings and Saturday mornings. And we'd give the first half of both days just to ensuring that, you know, we do our group work, assignments, etc. And other than that, I would like to say I did compromise on my sleep a lot. So my sleep life was extremely affected. But it was okay, actually, you know, because the days that if you, again, like I said, plan, not procrastinate, not say, oh, I'll do it nearer to when the assignment is due, do it along the way. And it sounds like, you know, you're in high school again, but really for me personally, I think the most important thing was that I was doing a little bit of it every day instead of piling it up. That was the first thing. And then the other thing was that I think the program is structured so beautifully that I think all of us in a group, even, we complement each other, right? So if there are times when, you know, I will be carrying most of the burden, and then there'll be times when someone else in my group was carrying the burden, and then we were able to hence juggle with work and personal life along with that as well. So the 15 to 20 hours a week, they sound a lot if you do have to do them on one day. But honestly, if you structure them and you do them very well, it works out, because the program is designed for people who are working also, right? It's not designed for a full-time MBA program. It's designed for people who are at work. So I think it's okay.
Okay. And Russell, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's a very good question, very valid question, and it's one that needs to be taken in serious consideration. In my case, I'm the sort of person that believes in doing things rightly or not do them at all. So if I'm going to study, like someone was saying before, yes, I'm keen to get the best mark, but I'm not really keen to get the best mark. I'm keen to get the best out of what I'm sort of being taught. I've always taken it from a business perspective. So in the class, everybody knows me to be the businessman. I'm always asked a question as a typical businessman would ask. I'm not a student. You know? So I was very, very proactive in that regard. But with that being said, to get through the course, you still got to do the academic bit. That is what it's all about. Hence, I had to like really put in the time. So throughout the nights, I probably on a weekly sort of night basis, probably 3 to 4 hours at least a night. Weekends, I devote 5 to 6 hours. And I used to just go to a nice cool cafe or somewhere. I pick a few, nice places in Dubai. I live in downtown. I used to go there and chill and have my coffee. It was a really good sort of me time, and me focused time. I got a gorgeous 4-year-old daughter who's quite clever. She want my attention. I love to give my attention, but the reality is I needed to divorce myself. That's one thing I used to do. Another I like to share with the potential candidates and the would-be students. It's a serious commitment. Sana spoke about teamwork, and we do get in groups of 4 or 5 people, and you got to finish off assignments and things of that nature. I recall, and by the way, for your information, I used to do a lot of traveling throughout my tenure. I did extensive traveling. And one of the trips I had to take once was to Vegas. And there was a big conference thing I had to attend there, and I was very keynote speaker there. I had to sort of be ready for it. At the same token, a week or so prior, that silly me, I volunteered to do this initial draft for this big assignment. I didn't realize how stupid, how huge it was. An assignment I had to do on behalf of the group as the first draft. And part of that assignment was to do a lot of serious research, a lot of serious read up on a lot of things to be able to compile something. So I jumped on a flight to Vegas, I recall. And I kid you not, for 17 odd hours, luckily I was traveling business, but nonetheless, for 17 odd hours, I did not flinch. I just worked. Only, I ate a bit, went to the washroom a bit, and came back and worked. And I got to Vegas, 4 nights there. 2 of the initial nights, I spent probably 4 or 5 hours doing more work because I had a commitment to the group and I had a commitment to myself to do what I had to do. So although I had work and business to do, I had to sacrifice my time. And the other thing I want to tell you, because I was doing a lot of traveling, this, what do they call it on Emirates Airlines, this entertainment thing that everybody watches, that stopped for me. For those 2 years, I just didn't know what the name of that was. I was just reading something or studying something or sort of rereading something. So it's there's got to be a mindset, a lifestyle that you adopt, and you need to be so proud of what you're doing, and you need to be so really buy into it, So it might seem so insurmountable and so wow, a challenge, and it's like impossible. It's not. It becomes you. It becomes exciting you. That's what it's all about, And for some, there could be geniuses. They don't have to do as much as I did, But I'm the sort of guy, I like to be very thorough, and I like to go through things properly and, handwrite, whatever. But it's doing it your way, yourself, but don't be fooled. You need to be focused, and you need to, really take it on board in a serious note. And this is why I said COVID-19 is probably opportune, in that it's an opportunity where somebody can say, okay, now I'm going to develop me. I'm going to, really develop myself for the next 2 years, and it's an opportunity.
Okay. Now we have a question that's come in, and it actually, I think, Russell, I'm going to start with you for this one. It's about family and whether you have your own or going to see your family, your children or your parents. How did you have the opportunity to take a holiday? Did you have the opportunity to spend time with your 14-year-old daughter? Did you have the opportunity to go away, or was that simply not a possibility, at least for the 2 years? And if it wasn't, it could be a holiday regarding travel or even just taking some time off. Was that a possibility for you?
Sure. Look, for me, it came as second nature because I've always run my own businesses. I've always had to juggle all that. So for me, it's always a working holiday. Trust me, I do a lot of holidays. I stay in the best of place. I do a lot of great things. So what I was doing, traveling on business, taking an extra 2 days off to kick back and, and enjoy that, I don't know, wherever I was traveling to. With regards to family, it's bribing. I did a lot of bribing, I was throwing my money left, right, and center. But I promised the family that when I finished, and I did, I'm going to take this great vacation. I took them to south of France for 2 weeks, and to London, and spoiled them. And also, my family, extended family, is all in Melbourne, Australia. So we always were going there back for Christmas, etc. So I think I did equally as much traveling during my LBS as much as I did other times. But again, it's about being able to combine it all. I mean, obviously, like again, Sana was saying before, you need to have your stakeholders buy into what you're doing, whether it's your spouse, your kids, your whatever family, etc. And they need to support you in that endeavor. I've been fortunate that I had that. Also with my business, and my staff, etc. So in that regard, you definitely need to sort of set the expectations. Once you set the expectations, people are okay with it, you know. But once you come out of the blue, it's like, oh, suddenly now I'm blocked out 4 hours a night, and for the next 2 years or whatever, 18 months, and suddenly it becomes a bit of a shock horror for your, you know, loved ones, etc. So I think it's about managing the expectations, and you really seeing and your family and the buy-ins seeing the real add value that you'll, you know, and the takeaways you'll be having in return. And frankly, it's a significant level of add value. I think whoever's applying for this should be very much aware of that. But like the saying goes, you know, you get nothing for nothing, right? You got to put in to get out, and it's all part of it.
Sana, how often were you able to see your family, if at all?
To be honest, you know, so for me, the plus point was that my husband, he had done his MBA a bit earlier, and he's from INSEAD, so he understood what I was getting into. So like I said, you know, from a stakeholder perspective, and then obviously he was extremely supportive, and, you know, but I did manage to somehow still take trips back home. I'm originally from Pakistan, so I was able to go on Eid. They were, you know, because Dubai was shut down during Eid holidays in any case, so I would still be able to take those days off. And also, I think, like, you know, for example, when I went for my electives, we tried to, you know, squeeze in a day or two or extend it a bit, and then, you know, my husband would come along, and then it would become a holiday. Like I said, I think, you know, the time that you're at in the program, it's not a conventional time, right? It's not like every other time of your life, and, you know, you have to go for a holiday. It all becomes a moving situation, right? So you adjust, because, for example, if you have corporate finance, I mean, for me personally, I was extremely stressed. So even if I had time, I would probably still not be able to go on a holiday, because it, you know, I would not be in a state. It's not only about time also, right? It's all. So I feel that if you have your stakeholders aligned, and again, I would like to give examples of people from my class who had kids and who, you know, they always did bribe them also and say, you know, give me this time off, and, you know, once this is over, and we also had a really good, for people especially living in Dubai, I think the good thing was that whenever we would get done with classes, a lot of our friends and their spouses, you know, like my class fellows, most of their spouses would join us, they would come along, you know, if we are hanging out for dinner or something. So, you know, they were part of the journey as well. So they understood that, you know, now it's not a regular time that, okay, I'm going to have the weekend to myself. Or so just like, you know, on a regular weekday, we would still be able to go out for dinner. And that was, I think, compensation of, you know, the regular, or as you would say, traditional holiday trips. But again, I think I sound like I'm repeating myself, but it's all about understanding what you want from the program, right? What matters when, how you're able to plan it, how you're able to take stakeholders on board. And again, there'll be things you'll not be 100% on, and you have to be okay with that, because if that becomes a frustration point, then you end up not enjoying the journey as well, right? And then you're paying a lot of money, I mean, there's a lot of sacrifice and time and effort that is going in. So you have to be okay with it also. Like, you have to understand that you'll not be able to do 100% at times.
Did you have time to participate in any of the Gulf Association or Student Association social events?
I did. I think they're the most important part. I still actually quite enjoy them. I think it's a very good place for, you know, people to meet, for you to learn. There's always, like, you know, I mean, it's good to go to these events, because there's always someone from previous batches. They're helping you. They're explaining to you, and you're like, oh my God, I'm stuck here. And they're like, it's okay, you'll be fine. We were stuck in the exact same position. And I think that used to give you a lot of confidence as well, right? That, you know, okay, guys, if so many people have done it, I will be fine as well. So these, I think the Student Association events, and I think even the Gulf Association events were, it was a very good way to not only network, but also find the support that you're looking from from people who've already done the program, and you're like, okay, you know, this is my problem. And when you hear it from them, it's also much, it's quite a source of, it's a motivation booster, I would think. So I used to enjoy going to the events always.
Okay. Great. Russell, in between your travel, your responsibilities as CEO and your commitment to the program, did you have time for any extracurricular activities with your fellow colleagues fellow students?
Absolutely. Actually, I ran it. I was the chairman of this SA. So I was making it all come together. And frankly, we were speaking about family before, but really your student body of your class become your extended family very much so, you know. You go out with them, you really do have this extension of social life slash, you know, sort of a pressure cooker being sort of aligned. It sort of worked out because you took your spouse with you, and you know there was that sort of opportunity to be able to sort of bring along your spouse, and be part of and learn and enjoy the journey and the experience. So that was happening, but ultimately, it does come down to you sort of being able to appreciate and buy into that, because some people say, well, I'm tired, I'm busy, I'm whatever, I'm not gonna be part of or partake in this SA or golf events, and I think that's the deficit of doing the program. If you start thinking along those lines, then it's not what it's about. It's about engaging. And if you really want to expand your horizon, you want to grow in your career path or your vision of what you're doing as a business or whatever, it's one of the big underwriters to so do. I need to say the following as well. I'm not sure about Sana, but certainly for me, I've run a significant business around the world for a number of years, and what I've sort of done since London Business School, I could say I probably made millions more than I could have made. I could have made millions, but my mindset, my whole thing changed. So my return on investment from a financial perspective was huge. But the bigger return, frankly, on investment for me was my personal development, personal growth. And really, because I was telling my PA earlier at coffee, I could be like Nelson Mandela, locked away for 10 years, 20, 30 years. What do I take back with me? I've lost all my financial, all my, sort of collateral and assets, but I still got my mind with me. I still got my education. I still got something that can give me that quantum leap into something else, right? So I think we all need to take that leap away. So education is the beacon, of your further and forward moving position. How do we all know, including me, whether we're going to have a job tomorrow, or we're going to have, the business we work in is going to exist tomorrow, or whatever. So what we do though have, if we have an LBS EMBA or like, is we've got that asset that we have in us that will transcend a lot of those sort of calamities that we might experience over time. So I'm a strong believer and a strong sort of advocate of further education. And frankly, I'll be going back and doing, more short courses here and there. And that's the beauty of LBS as well. You're able to go back and tap into all these short courses and refresh, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a great journey to be on for many, many years to come. And something I said, I'll leave on this note, this question, I was saying previously in the previous conversation, we all will have, all sort of, God willing, have an extended life. This thing of retiring at 60 is yesterday's news, Everyone's going to be working on and doing things and being active till 80, 90, This is the way of today's world, right? So reinventing yourself and being relevant always is what this train track of LBS will put you on. You do the EMBA, and then in 4 or 5 years' time, you go back and do something else, and then 6, and you're always able to refresh because it's that sort of that sort of ecosystem that you're part of, and all your colleagues, I mean, one of my friends that works in Jeddah, he's keen to go back and do a course in London, and you guys also us do it together. We got so it's, that thinking, let's go make time, let's go back and do this thing together for a few weeks, and and extend our reach and extend our knowledge base. So I think this is what it's all about.
Very good. We have more questions coming in. So I'll start with the next one that's here. Open to both of you. Did either of you suffer from burnout at any point during the program? Or experience any semblance of burnout?
Let me answer that question initially, if I may.
Absolutely.
What I do, not only with the program pre and post, is keep fit. a fit body is a fit mind. You know, I've always maintained a very rigorous sort of program of keeping healthy and keeping fit. I think if you've got everything in the world, you haven't got your health, you've got nothing. So you can't discount that. You can't give that away. So if you're a generally fit person, good, keep that up. If you're not, get into it, because I think that is definitely an excellent conduit to see you through much of that. Not only with a London Business School program, but with anything in life. I'm sure a lot of the audience is experiencing some, you know, stress or something, finishing up a project at work or whatever. You know, you jump on a treadmill for half an hour, you go for a run outside, you do a bit of a, you know, a bit of a workout, and whatever you do, it's a great way to rejuvenate and to be sharp. The other thing you need to be concerned about is sleep. I know Sana said she didn't sleep much, but yeah, that I could understand. But also, let me tell you a story. About 3-4 years back, I think it was, post LBS, my daughter came from school once with a WhatsApp message from one of the mothers that said this Indian surgeon, who was 42 years old, I think, who was a triathlonist, he was running, swimming, doing everything, had a massive heart attack. When they did the biopsy, they found that he was only sleeping 4 hours a night, Sana. And you know, the thing is, you can't push the envelope, not get sleep, not be fit, and expect to, you know, you can't push your engine, your car engine, if you don't oil it, you don't, you know, service it, and you don't keep it well in tune, right? The mind is the body is the mind. So you got to stay focused on that. And I think one needs to understand that bit before they understand what academia is, what career progression is, etc. Which president around the world do you know that doesn't do regular exercise? Presidents around the world are so much busier than we all could be, right? They do, they have to. It's again staying sharp. So that is a very, very, I think, critical underwriter.
Okay. Sana, how,
If I can, yeah.
question for you.
So if I can add to that, and I think Russell is, that is really good advice. And I think it is really important to, you know, like find some way in which you basically rejuvenate yourself. But I think I mean, I did not really personally, to be honest, suffer the point of burnout. But if I was to look at my class and think about this going back, I think the main difference is that you have to take the journey not as a competition, but more about learning, right? So if you go in with that approach where it's not like going to high school, or it's not like going back, you know, so a lot of people think it's like going back to school. Yes, it is going back to school, but it's a very sophisticated level of going to school, because everyone is just there to learn. So everyone is in it, and the EMBA class profile, in any case, you know, everyone has done something, everyone is, you know, at a senior part in their career, and they're looking to progress further, etc. But essentially, it's all about either adding more to what you want to be, where you want, what tools you need to get to where you want, and also more about learning, right? So this is a more of a self-development journey than anything else. So if you keep that attitude, I feel the burnout really is contained or controlled, if that's the right word, because, you know, then you're not taking everything upon you as something that, you know, is about you. It's not about you. If you have to do an assignment, if you have to take an exam, if you have to do a group work, it's more about what you're learning in that process, right? It's not about, oh, you have to finish an assignment and I need to do the best result, and you have to make it more of an enjoyable experience. And that can only happen if you take out, you know, if you make it more about learning, that, you know, no matter where you get, like, you know, for example, I'll give you an example, marketing. It was obviously a long course, and, you know, we were all like harrowed and etc. And then there was a competition in the middle. And it was so funny because, you know, we would keep, like, so in our group, we had really good group dynamics, and it was all purely because each one of us from day one had decided that, you know, we are going to try and complement and learn from each other rather than compete against each other, that who's going to do what. Because at the end of the day, like Russell said, we're an extended family, right? So anyway, so there was some competition, and, you know, and then we're all sitting, and they announced that, oh, you know, this group has won the competition. And then we're all laughing, and we're like, no, this just cannot be possible. And they're like, no, you know, you guys got the best score. And so anyway, so we got up, we got our trophy. And then I think for the next whatever number of days, it was a joke. You know, we all like relished in the joke that, you know, oh, so you guys knew this more than us. And it was never about competition. It was, yes, of course, someone got awarded, and yes, of course, someone gets graded, and there's all of that. But still, the experience of solving that problem was more important to everyone than, you know, what the end result was, essentially.
Okay, so what I'm understanding is that is what facilitated the avoidance of going into the burnout phase, is to actually enjoy the process and obsess about.
Yes. And I think that is what, and I think I honestly feel that, you know, in the EMBA program, that is what is the most important thing. No one is really here to judge how good or bad you are. It's more about how much you can learn or not. So if you work with that approach, I think that really makes the difference. And I've seen it in my class at least, and I don't know about Russell, but that is what defines the difference in between you enjoying the process and not, you know, burning out and, you know, missing out on the journey.
Sure, sure.
Let me add,
I would like to pick up on something that Russell said though, about exercise. Exercise powering you through the entire program, and it helps the body-mind connection. This is a very good point. And actually is tied to well-being in general. So I understand for you, Russell, exercise was central to your well-being on the program. I want to hear from both of you because this is another question that has actually come in about well-being rituals. Exercise, yes, we've discussed that. Was there anything else that helped you in terms of maintaining your well-being while you were juggling so many balls up, you know, simultaneously in the air?
yeah, let me answer that, but perhaps go back to the question before. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Just speaking about, you know, academia and being able to sort of keep up with work, etc. An extension of that really was your colleagues in the class. They were all there to support you to actually get that assignment finished, to do well in the exam. So we were all there for each other. There wasn't a sort of like we were all trying to compete against the actual program and to get by as one cohesive team. That's what we loved about our class. And in fact, I recall with corporate finance, we had Professor Ron Israel, a very tough professor, very good professor. And he gave us an exam. And in the exam, if you've done corporate finance, you would know there's a lot of crazy formulas you got to remember and all that sort of stuff. And the condition of the exam was that you could take in a one-pager with all the formulas on that. And of course, you had to squeeze everything in there so you could get everything in hand, right? So sure enough, what I did, I had to do it. So I did it in a so I got to do it in microform, handwritten. But I got my PA to type it up, which she did in a really professional way, in a very nice way, you know, smile font and red here, and, you know, all the different things. It was really great. And so my friends saw that and they suddenly all wanted one. So I gave them all a copy, right? So they're all still thankful today. The point being is that you're there for each other. And you're there to win, to kick the goal, you know, to win the goal. With regards to activities, you just asked Amber about engaging activities. Of course we did. We all had the football team, you know, that we played against with professors and others, you know, and we did that. Now, my silly story is I haven't played football for them in 30 odd years. I'm not much of a demon footballer, so I'm a competitive, right? I had to win, I had to be part of it. So two things happened. I was being a demon goalie and I fractured my thumb, sure. Because they didn't tell me anything about wearing gloves, so that I really got caught out there. And then I was kicking somebody's, the ball of someone wearing one of these hard shoes, and I also fractured my toe. So I walked away with 2 injuries as a result of that, right? But it's great fun because all part of being a part of the team, and everybody getting together in the heat of the sun of Dubai, and and sweating it out and going for drinks afterwards. So it's a seriously impressive social journey as well as an academic one, as well as a self-development one. It really is. It has been for me at least, and a lot of my friends absolutely in the whole class, as I know very well.
Okay.
I think I'd like to add to that as well. I think one key mental well-being tactic is during the program. I think because we're all obviously in a certain part of our jobs, right? We've learned a lot of things and we assume that, for example, if someone is, I don't know, whatever title, but if they think that, okay, I know this, so I know it already. I think one thing that, even though I also had almost 13 years of experience, I had been running, I had been running a number of positions before that. I think the key thing that really helps your mental well-being is that you go in with the attitude that you're going to unlearn also, right? So you are not just constantly fighting to keep up what you have learned and work with that. So whatever is being taught, whatever is happening, whatever your class fellows are telling as their success factors, you can only acquire and you can only find strength in them if you're willing to learn them, right? So I feel in my opinion, I think you have to go in with the attitude that you're going to also unlearn a lot of things which you thought were working very well for you, only to find out there's another way which is even better, right? And that obviously comes a bit hard, but I think that is a very, very important thing, because then you're not caught up in a lot of I guess in a lot of negative or again competitive environment as well. So that again gives you a very, very healthy way of ensuring that your mental well-being is taken care of.
Okay, thank you. We have another question that's come in about not making it to class one day. If something has come up and you are unable to make it to class, how did you face this situation? And if so, how did you make it up? How did you make up the class? Did you make up the assignment if you missed a study group session or you missed an assignment or a class? How did you make up for it?
Okay, I think I'll start with that. I think, frankly speaking, like I said, if there is a really urgent situation or something really important has come up, it's all about, you speak to the professor, you write to him in advance, or you notify him, you get the school program office involved, and you tell them that, okay, this has happened. But again, the definition, or I would say the measure of how important is relative, right? So yes, unfortunately, like, the school or the professor might not think that that was as important as you may think it was. But overall, I don't think it's not military school, right? So everyone, if you're actually missing out and you're doing it because you don't have a good reason, it's your loss more than anyone else's loss. That's the first thing. And everyone at the program office and in the faculty, I think, understands that. And even in your class, in your group and in your whole study groups, I think that is one important thing, because everyone understands that there'll be ups and downs, and sometimes someone will hold the fort and someone else will, not be able to hold the fort. So it's a lot of give and take, but it's also a lot of understanding that, at the end of the day, it's about you, right? So if you do miss out on a day, and if you do miss out on a lecture, you can ask a friend, you can ask one of your classmates who can help you. Even, actually some of the faculty was really nice. They were more than happy to, have a chat with you later on or catch up with you, etc. So I have to say that, from that perspective, the support is really good. But at the end of the day, it's about you, what important is, right? It's about, you will have to take that measure of important for yourself.
For sure.
Yeah, as for me, Amber, I'm a bit anal when it comes to that. Like during school days, I've never ever taken a school day off, or even if I was sick, I handed in 2 extra pieces of work. I recall my English teacher telling me, so I'm very committed. Having said that, though, things do happen, emergencies, etc., with family and stuff. And that was to happen. It didn't happen with me during the course, but it was to happen. Then, like Sana's saying, I mean, certainly in my class, I mean, everyone was there to just jump and support and help. Some guys and girls were even recording, I think, So it's a collective team effort almost as well. So if you're sort of, for whatever reason, you're down and out, you'll have some really close mates or your group, whatever, that'll be there to just super help you. So that I'm sure a lot of people will be considering that, because it happens. It's it's reality. I wouldn't want to miss a class though, frankly, because there's so much takeaway from our class, so you wouldn't want to miss it by being silly. But if you had an emergency per se and you had no choice, then don't be overly stressed about that, because the faculty are very, very, very supportive, as is the school. And more critically, your extended family, your classmates are there for you. So, that I think could be easily mitigated, so long as you've got the serious outlook for the whole program from day one.
Okay. I mean, I remember there was, if I could just quickly, I remember during during the course, one of my colleagues, it was quite, so one of the core courses, they had a final exam, and he, I think, had some family emergency. And they actually, and he couldn't travel into Dubai, and they actually, arranged for him to take the exam at a British council in his city, etc. But like I said, so the support is always there, but you have to, actually measure it for yourself. So yes, he was able to take the exam and get done with the coursework part of it, but because I think it was end of core or something, so he did have to make that sacrifice or compromise actually.
Okay. So the next question I think is actually a very important one. We have someone asking, did Russell or Sana ever consider doing the Sloan program? If so, why did they eventually go for the Executive MBA? So for our audience, the London Business School has the EMBA Global program, there's the EMBA Dubai program, there's the Sloan program as well. So Russell, I'd like to start with you. Why did you choose the Executive MBA Dubai program?
Look, the Sloan program was very impressive as well. But at the time, I don't believe it was offered in Dubai per se. And frankly, with my business being Dubai based and regionally based, it was much more fitting for me to be at the DIFC here than to be in London. The other thing I need to say about LBS, which is one of the main factors of me deciding to go forward with LBS, was the fact that faculty flies out from the UK here to see us. With respect to other schools, that doesn't happen, I understand. And also we get the actual certified, actual certificate from the actual school because of the same faculty is coming out to see us instead of us going to see them. So that I think was of tremendous value to me because I felt I'm not getting shortchanged here. I'm actually getting the real McCoy, the real same faculty coming out. And that was so real when you actually met with your London colleagues and student body because, like you very much had shared the same faculty, the same this and that. And when it comes to lectures, to the electives, you could elect to be in some, not all, some were in Dubai and some were in London. In my case, I made sure I had them all in London, so I actually got the experience of being in London as well. So all in all, it's about being able to sort of, recognize what the value is, and you tapping into that value. And that's where I felt I was always trying to do.
Yeah, I think for me, honestly, like the idea of having to move and go and stay in the UK for the Sloan program was not an option because I just started and my husband was here, my family was here. So I wanted to do this program and I thought it was a perfect fit because like Russell said, the faculty comes here. And then for the electives, the entire 8 courses, I took all of them in the UK. So on campus, I also got that experience. So it gave me a really good mix of both without having to actually uproot and move. So from that perspective, it was a great, it worked out really well for us. And also, I think the way the electives are structured also, when you're in the UK and you're taking classes there, then you're actually going through the whole experience. You're going through the same experience of, attending class with Sloans and full-time MBAs and etc. So it gives you that wholesome experience as it would in a program like Sloan. So yeah, so I think for me again it was because this was very, very convenient and even the program, I think the structure of the block week was also very helpful. Instead of having to break away every week, I was doing it every month. So the block week I think for me personally was an added bonus.
Okay, so that's interesting. Both of you did all your electives in London.
Yeah,
I
did one here.
I actually did an additional international assignment as well. So I went to South Africa and I went to Beijing. So I paid the extra $4,000 whatever it was, and I did the extra additional one for that additional experience and extension of the course. So the beauty of that elective is that you can be in London as I was, and like Sana was pointing out, you're actually sitting next to a Sloan or even a full-time, I think in my case. So it was great because you're getting a really cross-pollination of all that. But for me, and as it sounds like for Sana as well, living and working in Dubai predominantly in my case just made logical sense,
Yes.
Also, sorry, if I may add, if I may quickly add, I think another thing is also that, if you are looking to be in the region, then of course, taking the program here, it also adds to that because then you're in the region, you're meeting and networking and, the studying with people from the region. So then it's much easier for you to assimilate back, or if you want to take a career switch, or if you want to switch industries, or if you want to, even set up something altogether new. I think that also was something I looked at, and I thought that, if I'm not going to be settling in the UK, then for me, it was more important for me to be here.
Sure, sure. And for our audience, just to clarify, for the Executive MBA Dubai program, our candidates have the option of taking their electives either here in Dubai or in London. Just to clarify for those of the audience who's still considering an application. We have a few more minutes left until the end. Russell and Sana, I wanted to ask, any advice for candidates who are watching, admitted students who are going to be starting with us in September, any advice whatsoever for a successful EMBA program experience? Russell, we'll start with you, please.
Yeah, look, I think another program experience now, especially with this COVID going on, is like a safe bet, safe haven, You need to divorce yourself away from whatever you do, whether it's a job or business, whatever, sometime for a block of 2 years, let's say, and get serious about something like this, right? To be honest with you, if I had done the EMBA like 2 or 3 years hence, I wouldn't have been able to. I would have been like so crazy busy. I had a lot of things on, etc., a lot of challenges, a lot of that. So my mind would not have been settled. So one is to look for that timing, which is a good fit. And frankly, personally, I couldn't see a better fitting time than this COVID, because it's a global thing. It's not just regional or local, right? So irrespective what business you're in, irrespective what industry you're in, irrespective what job you're doing, whatever, your industry is getting impacted by a dynamo effect one way or the other. Sure enough, we all have to put in our jobs to make things happen and propel, etc., etc. But doing a job is one thing. Pursuing a marriage for the rest of your life is another. And I think what one needs to worry about is what's in it for me? What's my long-term journey and goal, Why? I mean, it took me 5 years to get my head around finding time to do the EMBA, but I did. And it's critical that I did, for me at least, because if I didn't, I probably would have never done it. I got caught up with business, caught up with work, caught up with whatever, a couple of kids maybe, whatever, and I would have never done it. So the point being is that timing is everything in life, in my view. And one needs to time themselves well and right. This COVID, turn it to your advantage. Take advantage of it. Make the most of it, And I can tell everyone, I'm in business, I do things globally. I can assure you, I speak to my brothers in Australia and around the world. I'm from Melbourne. We just got shut down for another 6 weeks after being all pretty cool and all going to get back on track. And then suddenly, a full 5 million people being shut down for 6 weeks because we had a bit of a spike, right? My point being is that it's an unpredictable next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. If you can get involved in this, if you really are really bought into it, and you might as well have the marriage ceremony and get on with it and start having a few kids.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Russell. Sana, any advice from you?
I think, I only have one thing, and that is this journey is about learning. You have to want to learn, whether it's through books, through your experiences, through your class fellows, through, things going right and wrong during the journey, but it's all about learning. And I think, personally for me, the timing was obviously spot on. It gave me a lot of confidence in what I was trying to do. It gave me a lot of exposure. It actually also, and this is why I keep talking about unlearning, because there were things that I had been doing a long while, but I realized that there was a better way to do it even. So I think personally, this is, and like Russell said, that this is a really good time to go back to school or go back to getting a degree. It's the best thing you will give yourself. It's the best, it really is, for me personally, like one of the best investments I've done for myself.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And with that, I would like to conclude our webinar for today. I would like to thank both Sana and Russell for taking the time out of their very busy schedules to share their insights and their experience while they were a student on the program. I certainly learned a lot. I think our audience did too. Thank you to the both of you. If you would like
Thank you so
more
much.
information on future events at London Business School and future webinars, please log on to our website, www.london.edu. Thank you again to you both.
Thank you all. All the best. Good luck.
Thank you. Good
Thank you.
luck.